I hope my voice is perfectly clear to all of you. So, a very warm welcome and good evening to all of you. Good evening, Anshulji. My name is Rohit Golani, and I'm a chartered accountant and your moderator for today. On behalf of Optotax, I welcome all of you for this session number 6 on GST. I hope everyone is safe and living a healthy life. India and world have left the corona behind, and now is the time we press the accelerator again and head our professional journey. And yes, more importantly, CA inter results were announced today. So congratulations to all the students who cleared today and who were not able to make it. It's not the end. I'm positive and optimistic that they'll be shining bright in the next attempt. So all the best to them. As we all know, today being the concluding session of our 6-day series, we have been able to study every important topic under GST. In all, it has been a very successful journey with your love and support. And finally, today we have gathered to discuss about a very important topic, which is e-commerce sector. In spite of being important, I believe it is also the future of the country because India is heading towards technology. Previous sessions have been very interesting and learned for me and all the professionals, all because of your active participation only. And I'm very optimistic we are going to wind up the series with positive note as well today. As you all guys already know that GST has become a very vast and complicated topic, all because of so many changes and amendments coming to and from. So we have in this series tried to sum up each and everything for you in a very systematic manner and present it to you topic wise, so that whenever you want to brush up your GST skills again and want to revisit, you can easily go through the recordings of this session and take the advantage of it. And to walk the talk, we are bringing to you this episode number 6 on live webinar series on decoding GST impact on various sectors. And this time we'll take you around detailed discussion on GST impact on e-commerce, which in spite of being very important is also very useful for practical purposes as well. So I can see people have started joining. So many professionals are like always sharp on time. So thank you so much for your love and support. It keeps driving us to try the best to keep you updated and improve each and every day at what we do. I'll just beg a moment from all of you so that we can wait for our other friends to join as well. Because as you all know, at Optotax, we have a community of chartered accountants and tax professionals, GST practitioners, CS from, again, accountants from all over India who are coming together for mutual empowerment and benefit. So Abhishek ji, good evening. And to all the practitioners and professionals from all over India, namaste, sat sri akal, adab and vanakkam to each and every one of you. We consistently keep organizing webinars on various important topics, like we have been seeing these Western crises these days, and it has a huge impact on global share markets as well. So we have been trying to bring a series on this, which will tell you about the trade disruptions and all the impact on Indian economy, and also the opportunities for chartered accountants. So stay tuned. We are planning to bring it on 2nd to 3rd of March. That will also be a very learned and knowledgeful session. And apart from that, we have tried to cover income tax and GST topics as well in our previous sessions. So they are available on our YouTube channel. So you guys can go and watch if you want. They are very much interesting and interactive sessions. Okay, and now beginning with our today's session, which is brought to you by Optotax, which most of our professionals are already using. But those members who have joined us today for the first time, let me give a brief about it to all of you. We are a technology and knowledge platform, and in our journey, we have always tried to make your GST compliances hassle-free. It is engineered for your empowerment and benefit. Optotax is India's #1 and biggest GST platform, and to your surprise, it has now become a family of more than 50,000 tax professionals who trust Optotax for more than 1 million plus clients. So you all can give it a try. It is totally free and efficient. Now coming back to today's topic, which talks about impact of GST on various sectors. It is decoding GST. And before that, there's an important note announcement that today's guest of honor, CA Shekhar ji won't be joining with us today due to some personal reasons, but nonetheless, we have our faculty, 𝐂 Nihalchand Jain ji. So let me brief about him to all of you. He has more than 4 years of professional experience working with broad range of global public and private organizations, helping them deal with the significant GST risk and issues. He has a special inclination towards GST, wherein he likes to write, read, research, and speak about GST and previous indirect taxes generally as well on a case-to-case basis. Nihalchand ji has been invited as a regular speaker at various forums. He also visits institutes like ICAI, 𝐄-𝐂𝐫𝐴CA, etc. to speak to chartered accountant students, both academically as well on the practical aspects on the topic of GST. The audience has always appreciated his style of linking complex GST issues with their routine day-to-day activities. So I believe that is one of the strongest area, because the complex issues in the GSTs have been simplified by him in the past in the simplest possible way. So we are very overwhelmed to welcome such a interactive and interesting personality like you today. And I and our viewers are really looking forward to hear from such an experienced speaker like you. On behalf of Optotax, I'd like to thank you for being part of this webinar today, for accepting this opportunity and allowing us to share this virtual stage with you. And I don't think I'll be taking much more time of all our professionals who have been eagerly waiting for your deliberation. Straightforward, I'll hand it over this stage to you. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Rohit Bhai and the team of Optotax. And there are two persons who have raised their hands at the first instance. So if it is better that you know what is it at the start, if they can guide, and then I can start off my deliberations. Or if it's a mistake, then also we can take it up like that. So by that
if you want, I can allow them to speak. If
yeah, allow them to speak. No.
So Vinod Kumar ji, I'm allowing Vinod Kumar ji to speak. If you have any issue, you can just discuss it with Nihalchand ji. So yes, Vinod ji. No response, so I guess.
He is on mute, I believe. You'll have to unmute him.
Vinod ji, if you can unmute yourself. I have actually asked him to unmute. I guess we can go ahead with the webinar. If they have any issues, they can write it on the chat box. That will be perfectly fine.
So thank you once again, Rohit Bhai and the entire team of Optotax. Now, the e-commerce sector as such in itself is one of the most emerging sectors available with this country today. When I was basically a student, I am talking about the year 2014-2015. We had service tax, we had VAT, we had excise. There was no tax on it whatsoever. Even that service tax was not there. Now, when the nation shifted to GST, this industry was also covered. And obviously, because this is a technology-driven business, technology-driven sector, one has to understand and appreciate that if you run a technology-driven business, the physical presence in the country may be there, may not be there. So we'll have to rise above a level wherein we don't have to feel that no, I need, or there has to be a requirement of meeting somebody in person and then doing business. So this sector as such is comparatively new with respect to indirect taxes. Therefore, I would try to give out whatever little knowledge that I have of this industry to all of you. I'm sure it would be a learning experience, and if there are any queries, we will take up all of them at the end. So to start off, Now, firstly, we'll have to understand what do you mean by e-commerce and what do you mean by the term e-commerce operator. See, when I was a student or when I started to understand this business, I always had one understanding or one feeling. Anything that I do using internet is electronic commerce to me. Bas. So if I am doing any supplies on the internet, making use of my internet, it is e-commerce operator. I am an e-commerce operator. No, that was not the case. So thankfully, I was proven wrong. And I was proven wrong by technology. I was proven wrong by the act because I understood that even my act of GST has gone to an extent to define what does an electronic commerce mean. So what it means is that electronic commerce means supply of goods or service or both, including digital products over digital or electronic market. Now, what do you mean by the term digital products? They can be softwares, they can be your electronic books, they can be your games, they can be your photographs, etc. Now, what do you mean by the term digital network? It can be your emails, it can be your directory, it can be your services. So remember, you do not have to actually go somewhere and ask the person. Say, for example, you want a high definition photograph and you are paying for it. So you do not have to actually visit the photographer's shop, ask him to say, make him payment and then ask him to give you a printout of it. No, that is not e-commerce. You just have to say him that मेरे को एक high definition photograph चाहिए over my email. This using electronics, using internet, using digital products, yes. Second, what do you mean by the person who operates it, or how does the term electronic commerce operator work? It says that it is a person who can either own a platform or he can operate that platform or he manages the platform. So for example, just for the sake of an example purpose, I would take up example of Amazon. Amazon.com. Okay. Now that is a website that basically operates in US. When I put that same Amazon.co.in, that becomes an Indian thing. So who is the owner of that website? It is Amazon. Who is, say, managing it, operating it in India? Say it is the team of Amazon India. And therefore, for my purpose, Amazon is an e-commerce operator. A query that I am getting ever since this act was launched. Nihal, I have a website. I am giving my services through my website. Do I become an e-commerce operator? This question is for all of you as well. Say, for example, you have a website and you are making your supplies through that website. So do you become that e-commerce operator? No, no. Somebody says yes as well. Yes, yes, no, yes. Okay. So I see a lot of yes and a lot of no as well. I am not allowing others to say. Okay. Now understand one thing in a very simple term. Having a website means having an online store. अगर online store होना आपको e-commerce operator बना देता, तो then everybody who has a website is an e-commerce operator. No, that is not what it intends to. You have a physical store and you have an online website. Online website is merely, I again repeat, merely your office over the internet. So if you have a website and if you are supplying through that website, you do not become an e-commerce operator. Everybody who was saying yes, no, sorry, you do not become an operator. You have to do certain felicitations of business over here. What you are doing is, apna sara operations, you don't want to say get into the file work or you don't want to buy up a physical space. So you have booked up a space online. That does not make you an e-commerce operator. It simply means that you are doing your business online. Bus. One of the person has rightly pointed it out that if you allow others to sell, then surely you fall in the category of an e-commerce operator. Moving ahead, charging section. Obviously, any act needs to have a power to levy tax. So your section 9(5) of the CGST Act, by section 9(5) of the CGST Act, the government has kept a power for itself that we, that is the government, on the recommendations of the council, by notification specify. What will they specify? The categories of service. If it is supplied through a portal, tax is to be paid. कौन सी services specified here, which are the services that are not specified, we'll see in the coming slides. But remember, section 9(5) over here is trying to fix up a responsibility that if at all an e-commerce trade is being carried on, person liable to pay tax कौन होगा, या who will be the person whose responsibility it is to pay tax. So from the main section or section 9(5), it is stating that e-commerce operator is liable. Now remember that e-commerce operator always and always acts as a felicitator for services. He is not going to provide the actual service. Though still he is not going to provide the actual services, fir bhi he is the person liable to pay tax. Which services we will see later. Secondly, because it is an e-commerce operation, because it is an operation done via the internet, it is quite possible that the operator will not have a place of business in India, or a physical presence is not there in India. Now we all know that if you are going for a registration, you need a physical presence in India. Now the word used at taxable territory, I like to use India for that as well. Obviously, India, the meaning of it is as per the IGST Act, and that covers a sea, whatever is the duration from the land and all and all and all. But I like to say it this way that if you are in India, if you are conducting an e-commerce operation, say you do not have a place of business in India, or a physical presence is absent, then the Act says, if you want to continue your business in India, you will have to appoint somebody. We do not say, government will never say that don't do business in India. It will always say, follow our laws. How do you follow our laws? Do one thing, appoint somebody who is responsible for all your tax liabilities in India, and such person shall be liable to pay taxes. Moving ahead, you have appointed somebody, it is fine. They say well and good. Moving further ahead, they say you do not even have a representative in the category or in the said territory. Then the Act again asks you, please appoint somebody and do the compliances. So if I have to draw out a summary of it, I can say that if the e-commerce operator has a physical presence in India, the person liable to pay tax is the operator himself. If there is no physical presence in India, and if the person has been appointed, then that appointed person is liable to pay tax. No physical presence, no person appointed. Then the government says appoint somebody to pay tax, because we do not want to shut down your operations. At the same point of time, we do not even want to lose out on our revenues. The government by notifications. Now, two notifications are prescribed till date. One is notification 17, 2017 CTR. Another one is notification 23, 2017 CTR, that is Central Tax Rates Notification. What is important? What is important is what are the services they have covered. So they have basically tried to cover three services. First, transportation of passengers. that covers, if I have to say it in a very layman language, sir, आपका Ola, Uber, Cool Cabs and like सारे cover किए. Second, accommodation services, आपकी hotels, guest houses, inns, club houses, etc. cover किए. And third, they have tried to cover general utility services like say housekeeping services, or say maid services, or say go ahead one step more, electrician services, so on and so forth. Now came the time to fix up the responsibilities. They say, पहली जो service है, okay, we'll go service by service. The first service is transportation passengers. Let us understand कि मुझे I have to travel from say Mumbai, okay, say a location in Mumbai say Bandra to another location in Mumbai say Andheri. I open up my Uber or Ola or like app. I book up the service. Who comes and gives me the service? Does the Ola owner comes, the Ola portal comes, or it is the cab driver who is associated with Ola comes and gives me the service? Who comes and gives me the service? So it's a question. The cab driver comes. Perfect. So it is the cab driver who comes and gives me the services. Now the act visualizes a thing. It says that a cab driver or a driver associated with Ola, he will never be able to comply with our laws. Okay. Going one step ahead, bringing down the humor to this thing, even as professionals, we are also sometimes unable to comply with the GST. So forget about a cab driver or an associated driver with Ola having car driving skills to get GST compliant. It says impossible to do so. So what have they done? They say the aggregator or the operator is always liable for his compliances. Second and third, accommodation services and general utility services. Now they say, let us take an example of a restaurant, no, hotel. Say I visit Delhi, I am staying in a hotel, and when I'm staying in that hotel, I have two choices. I have booked my say tickets, or the not to say tickets ideal. I have booked up my hotel room from say Make My Trip. I have paid the money to Make My Trip. Now, Make My Trip will firstly check whether the hotel that I have selected is liable to pay GST independently or not liable to pay GST independently. If it is liable to pay GST independently, the responsibility to pay GST is not of Make My Trip. It is of the hotel themselves. If it is not liable to pay GST, then the responsibility is that of Make My Trip. The same explanation stays valid for general utility services as well. So if I have to conclude my point number 2 and my point number 3, it says something like this, that if the general utility service provider or the hotels, clubhouse, inns, etc., if they are themselves liable to pay tax, matlab if the turnover, the aggregate turnover of them crosses rupees 20 lakhs or whatever is the amount required for registration, the responsibility to pay tax lies on the service provider and not on the aggregator. Whereas if the service provider is not liable to pay tax, not liable for registration compulsorily, then the responsibility is that of the aggregator and or the operator and not the service provider. I hope I am able to clarify the requirements of section 9.5 as well as the notifications as discussed. Now, whenever we discuss about this industry from an operator point of view, we are always required to understand the law with regards to two things. First, it's a TCS related provisions, and second, whatever are the charges that the operator pushes, the operator charges to the supplier who is supplying through it, those charges have to be dealt separately. The TCS related provisions have to be dealt separately. Now, please note, in the entire discussion of the events, I am not going to touch OIDAR, that is Online Information Database and Access Retrieval Services, because I personally understand and feel that that is an industry in its own. So I am not touching OIDAR at all. Bas, utna hi disclaimer. So now let us understand firstly the TCS related provisions, secondly the operator charges related provisions. For example, there is an operator who has its head office or is based completely out of Maharashtra, in Mumbai. He has sellers from which states? Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Goa, as well as Maharashtra. And now this operator has to decide how to take up, first of all, registration. Secondly, how to deal with the compliance provisions. What is my section 52 asking me to do, or the TCS provisions, what are they actually asking me to do? How should I complete those requirements? First, it says that if you are an operator, you are required to collect tax at a rate which does not exceed 1%. So the highest amount of tax that can be collected is 1% and not more than that. Always a question, 1% of what amount? It says that 1% of the taxable values made by it, supplied through the operator. It is not yet over. It says that if the entire scope of section 52 shall arise, if the consideration is collected by the operator and not by the seller themselves. So please understand, you fall under this section 52's criteria when the amount is collected by the operator for you. That is, understandingly, you are the seller, the operator collects it on your behalf, and later on a settlement takes place. 1%. Certain explanations to it. What do you mean by the term net value of taxable supplies? It says services or supply of goods or services made via it minus as returned by the customer. Now, please note, whatever we have discussed in our 5 is not to be considered over here. 9.5 को side में रख दीजिए. Apart from 9.5, whatever is the thing, it is to be evaluated from your section 52's point of view. Obviously, बहुत ज़्यादा theory हो गया. Let us take up a numerical example. And how to determine whether मैं उसका IGST deduct करूँ or I should be deducting their CGST and SGST. So I've taken up a small example for everybody's benefit, including mine. It says that the seller state is Goa, the buyer state is also Goa. Seller and buyer, I have not considered e-commerce operator at all. The invoice value is 1180. GST is at the rate of 18%, that is 180. And therefore, the value of supply turns out to be 1000. उसमें से 200 rupees का goods or services came back to you. So what is the net value of supplies made through you? 800 rupees. and therefore that 1% of 800 turns down to 8 rupees. Now, since your seller and your buyer state is Goa, C plus S would be withheld. And if it is any state other than Goa, I would be, say, collected and deposited to the government. I hope we are clear and there is no confusion as to what GST would be collected by the operator and paid to the government. Now, e-commerce operator has a very peculiar feature of having multiple dates. First, let us understand an e-commerce transaction in the first place. Okay. Summary chart. This is an e-commerce operator transaction in a nutshell. I know everybody has purchased through Amazon, everybody has purchased through say Flipkart, say Meesho and all, but still let us understand this thing from the operational point of view of the operator. What will happen? Say I want to buy up a say mobile phone. I go to Amazon's website, I check up what is the rate over there, I check up with Flipkart, I check up with XYZ. I liked at one website, I book up my order, my part is done. Then what will happen? The seller who is registered on the portal as seller will deliver the goods or will hand over the goods to the transporter of the operator. The transporter of the operator will then deliver the goods to Nihal, and Nihal will then make the payment. If it's cash on delivery, at the date of delivery. If it is, say, online payment, then at the date of order itself. Now, operator has a role to deduct that 1% of the net consideration. Considering all this, you will have to appreciate one fact, that there are a lot of dates that get involved in this transaction or in this entire process. The first date is the date when Nihal booked up that order. Say that is today's date. What is the date today? 26th of February 2023. The date of dispatch, say it happened tomorrow. Okay, it happened tomorrow on 27th of February. The goods were delivered to me on, say, 5th of March. And I made a cash payment. So the date of collection also happened on 5th of March. For my 52's calculation, or for the purpose of my section 52, which date? Date of order, date of dispatch, date of delivery to the customer, or finally the date of collection from the customer. Which date is a question to you. Is my question clear? Okay, one answer is collection. Any answer apart from date of collection? Date of delivery and date of collection. Okay, interesting. Date of delivery. Delivery date. Because until Amazon gets money, how it will be collected? Okay, date of collection. Fine. So everybody, I believe, has a consensus over either it will be date of delivery or it will be date of collection. Date on which actually delivered. Okay, fine. Anybody who feels Nihal date of order? Arey, somebody has felt. Narayana. So somebody has felt date of order is also possible. Okay. I'll tell you what the real practice is. In real world, in real practice, it is the date of order. I'll give you the logic to it as date of returns are poor. Right? I'll give you the logic to as to why date of order is the correct date to my understanding as well. Whenever you go online and you book up a product, do you do it with an intention of cancelling? Do you do it with an intention of returning it back? Sometimes. Wow. It means you also check whether, if it is available for a lower price at some other stage or not. See, ideally, in an ideal world, no. If you want something, only then you go ahead and order something. Otherwise, you don't go ahead and order anything. Now, once that date of order is finalized or that order is freezed, okay, the liability arises. The liability will arise on the date of order. Now, please note, whatever is the amount that is payable to the seller is still not collected by you. If and only if it is a cash on delivery transaction. Otherwise, in all other cases, if you are making an online payment, you are supposed to make that payment also on the date of order itself. It is only then that your order goes for dispatch and for further processing. And therefore, the operators have decided and they are continuously following the date of order as the thumb rule date for section 52's compliances. It can be right, it can be wrong. You may argue with me that Nihal, paisa I have still not received. Am I supposed to make out payment from my own pocket? Obviously, for those cutoff dates, answer to that will also come down to a yes. However, if the returns happen, it also has to be considered on the date when you actually put up that return request and not when the date that the money is actually credited to your account again or the date on which it is actually, say, received back by the seller. So for your section 52's compliances, the entire 52 is working on date of order and no other date as such is relevant for my 52. House may disagree, audience may disagree, but we will take it up only at the end of the my deliberation. Section 52, it says that this power shall be without prejudice to any other mode of recovery from the operator. That is fine, that they have kept it a power that the operator is supposed to pay it to them. Third, section 52(3), it talks about when that money so collected is to be paid by the operator to the government. Now, everybody who had that, Nihal, let us take it up at date of payment. You will also appreciate that within 10 days, even if it's done on the 28th of February, within 10 days, that product will get delivered and the amount will also be collected by him. And therefore, to my little understanding, date of order रखो, date of collection रखो, आपकी जो मर्जी है वो date रखो. Within 10 days, the products are supposed to be delivered to anybody and everybody across the country. Plus, the operator will never make up any payment from his own pockets. That is what my understanding is. Now, before jumping on to the next section, I am taking you slightly outside the world of GST. It is because you also need to understand that this sector is also regulated. The accounting for it, the money provisions of them are also regulated by one of the RBI notifications or by one of the RBI guidelines for intermediary accountings or for intermediary bank accounts. Now, the RBI guidelines say that whatever is the money that you are collecting on behalf of seller, it has to be settled to the seller at a max of T plus 2 days or 3 days. उससे ज़्यादा you cannot keep that seller's money with you. And therefore, please remember, whatever, if you have an operator as a client, or if you have accounting for an operator going forward, or if you have a seller who is your client and who is supplying on the operator's portal, the accounting for it will also depend as to if you are the operator, आपको calculations on day 0 करने पड़ेंगे, that is on the date of order. What is the amount collected? What is the amount to be deposited with the government? What is the amount to be deposited with the seller or with the supplier of the said goods and services? So remember that this sector will also have an RBI impact or RBI guidelines impact when it comes to accounting, and similarly it will also have an impact when you go ahead and settle your accounts. If you go ahead and settle your accounts, obviously उसके पहले ही आपको TCS collect करना है, and therefore it also has an impact on your TCS collections. Moving ahead, every operator shall furnish a statement in such form and manner as may be prescribed within 10 days. If the commissioner wants, it can go ahead and extend the said dates as well. Now, what is the form prescribed? It comes from your rule 67, which says GSTR 8 is to be filled up on the portal electronically, and whatever are the details that you had furnished or the supplies that have been made by you or through you, not by you, through you, has to be furnished in that. Every operator who collects the amount specified in section 52(1) shall furnish annually a statement containing the details of outward supplies. Before discussing this provision, anyone in the audience having an e-commerce operator as client? Anybody in the audience? Yes, I have. Okay, fantastic. So my question to you is, have you ever filed up an annual return for the operator? No. Now the reason to that comes from your rules. Rule 82 has prescribed a form GSTR 9B, which is to be filed by an operator. Now what happened was, today I was just checking out this rule because I had to give this deliberation. I was going through form GSTR 9B. Now going through the index of the forms, I could not find it. And therefore, please remember, if you have an operator as a client, GSTR 9B as such is not yet specified. If you go out and check up the government's form, if you go out and check out the government's form as well, there is no mention or there is no format prescribed for GSTR 9B. And therefore, this section as such is redundant but a part of your act. Section 52(6) talks about if an operator, after furnishing a statement, discovers any, say, mistakes other than as a part of scrutiny, audit, inspection, he shall go ahead and rectify it in the month in which such mistakes or whatever is noticed, and you are liable to pay interest as per section 51. provided no such rectification shall be allowed. In the entire GST, what timelines do we have? September month or furnishing of annual return, whichever is earlier. September month I know is changed by the budget 2022, but till the time it does not get notified, I still like to believe that the due date remains September. Annual return to isme hai nahi. So therefore, the date to rectify it is September following the end of the financial year. September month of that following the end of the financial year. That is what I said. 52.7. It says that a supplier who has supplied the goods or services through the portal or through the operator shall claim in his cash ledger the amount collected and reflected in the statement in 52.4 as in a manner as may be prescribed. Coming down to what is prescribed, it says that agar koi amount 51 or 52 it has been collected and claimed, the amount so deducted or as the case may be shall be credited to his cash ledger. Now nowhere, okay, nowhere to my reading is anything prescribed over here. What they are saying is, aap operator ho, do one thing, collect his tax, pay it to the government. If you are a seller selling through operator, what is it saying? Go ahead, claim it in your electronic cash ledger. How to claim is missing. I'll tell you how to claim it as well. When you log into your portal, you will find out a tab TDS and TCS amounts. In that tab, once you click on it, you will then find out first TDS, second TCS. TCS mein you will find out two tabs. Firstly, whatever are the supplies that have been made. Secondly, amendments to those supplies. So whatever is that thing that you find out over there in that tab that you find, go ahead, click it inside, and there you will find out the details. What are the details? It will tell you the gross amount of supplies made as reduced by the net returns that have come, and at final the net supplies made through the operator. The details will appear operator wise. So if your client is registered on Amazon as well as on Flipkart and as well as on say Meesho or any other portal, you will find multiple GST and multiple operator wise details. And then the net amount, when you try to multiply it by 1%, you will find out that exact amount. So that is how in practice we go ahead and claim down that TDS and TCS. 52.8 talks about a concept which was never put down in place. It says that it shall be matched by the details of outward supplies as furnished by the supplier, and it will be prescribed. Matching hoga, prescription hoga. Now we all know matching concept is not introduced, be it from the collector point of view, be it from GSTR 123 point of view. So therefore not spending too much of time on. 52.9 again talks about matching concepts, not yet put down to picture. Budget 22 has already said this will never see the light of the day, and therefore I suppose, or rather I would speak out a statement that all the responsibilities of this matching is now put on to the department. Obviously, because it shall be communicated to the taxpayer. That is the reason I say this. 52.10 talks about the implications of matching concepts. जब concept नहीं है, फिर भी implication है, so I like to spend out a couple of minutes on these implications as well. It says that in a scenario wherein the operator, mark my words, the operator shows more sales and the supplier shows lower sales, that point of time it says that we shall communicate it to you matlab to both the supplier as well as the operator. Now, if the operator is on the stand, nahi, you have supplied this much only through, it becomes a case wherein you as supplier has shown lower sales, therefore it shall be added back to your liability. Which month? In the month succeeding the month in which the period or the discrepancy is communicated. Legal language, let us keep it aside. Let us understand it in our terms. You have done up a supply in the month of April. That miscommunication or the mismatch notice came to you in the month of May. You had a chance कि आपको मई में बोला rectify कर लो. You could not rectify it in the month of May. आपने May month का return, you did not rectify it, and thus the liability would be added back in the month of June. Obviously, if it's added to your liability, in that case, what will happen? You're supposed to pay out the tax along with interest under section 51. An authority, any authority, not below the rank of DC, Deputy Commissioner, may serve a notice either for the proceedings or during the course of proceedings, requiring the operator to furnish the details of what supplies made through it, of a particular supplier, say through using the portal, stock of goods held by the supplier making such supplies. I would like to draw out your attention here that a lot of times what happens is the operator says, I have a say warehouse facility. You do one thing, you keep some part of your stock, some part of your say highly moving stock in our godown, so that the transportation time from your place to my godown is saved. Good, do it, but do not forget, as supplier, do not forget to disclose that godown or that facility of the operator as your additional place of business. Otherwise, what happens? They would treat everything as sales and then tax may be payable. So it is just a word of caution that if you as a supplier are trying to keep out your goods in the operator's warehouse, disclose that place as the place of business, as your additional place of business. 50 to 30. Every operator on whom a notice has been served, within 15 days is supposed to require, is supposed to furnish all the informations as they have asked. If you fail, if the operator fails, a penalty may be imposed which may extend to rupees 25,000. Explanation to section 52, the all of it says that the concerned supplier shall mean the person who is supplying through the operator, which I believe is clear, even if this explanation was not a part of the act. Submission of return. GSTR 8 has to be filed. And please remember, if your operator does not files down your GSTR 8, you cannot claim that amount of credit in your cash ledger. These operations I've already discussed. Now, speaking on the Optotax's platform, something has to come out for Optotax as well. And I always enjoy speaking on the Optotax's platform for a lot of reasons. So, trusted by 50,000 plus tax professionals for their 1 million clients practice, as Rohit Bhai has already said it in the start. How will Optotax help you is, it will help you download the acknowledgement, say automatic reconciliations with your 2A, live dashboards, multiple users can be added for allocation and delegations of work, a lot of help for people like me who are half of the time in the office, half of the time somewhere, half of the time speaking, deliberating to the audiences. So eases out our lives. How will it help you or make your compliances simple? It is working on a say mechanism Everything should be available to you at the click of a button. And that is how Optotax plans, executes, delivers to make your compliances simple. You can always go ahead and check it out. And this is obviously absolutely free for every tax professionals. So please go out, check it out. And whatever is the review, you can pass it on to me, or you can even give it to Rohit bhai. He would be more than happy. My deliberation is not yet over. So Rohit bhai, you can speak if you want to. If you want to add something to it, you can speak.
No, I was just came here just to thank you so much for such a detailed discussion about Optotax. So I was just here to tell you that. That's it, nothing else. You can continue with the session.
Sure. Compulsory registrations under the Act, obviously, because you are dealing with the operators, either you are the operator or you are supplying through the operator. See, please remember, for anybody who does anything through the operator, they have made out a compulsory registration clause. So if you are a person who supplies through the operator, please remember, it is compulsory for you to get yourselves registered under this Act. If you are a person who is supposed to collect taxes, compulsory registration. If you are a person who is supposed to pay taxes under 9(5), compulsory registration. I'll give you 3 examples of it. Person liable to pay tax, Ola, Uber, likewise, compulsory registration. Supplying through e-commerce operator, you, your clients, if you are registered on a portal, compulsory. Third, every e-commerce operator who is required to collect tax under section 52, compulsory to pay taxes. Compulsory to opt for registration. Registration process. Now I am talking this registration process from the TCS collector point of view. It says that any person who is required to collect tax under 51 or direct tax under 52, not a topic, so not discussing much on that. He shall submit an application electronically in REG 7 for the grant of registration through common portal, that is fine. आपको एक REG 07 भरना है. In practice, how it takes place is, while you are trying to put up your registration, you will see I am a. Then there is a lot of features: taxpayer, tax deductor, tax collector, government agency, so on and so forth. So वहां पर you have to select tax collector. If say you have a place in Mumbai, Maharashtra, you do not have a place in say Delhi, so registration would be denied. Technically, yes, the Delhi government will say you do not have a place of business in India or physical presence nahi hai Delhi mein, we are denying down you the registration. Obviously, see, understand, as an operator, you cannot have offices in all the states and all the union territories of the country. But your suppliers will have. Your suppliers can be across the country. And therefore, this rule 1A is a relaxation to us. It says that if you do not have that physical presence, you mention that. It shall mention on the name, shall mention the name of the state in part A of the application and mention the name of the state in part B where principal place is located, which may be different. Okay. So yaad rakhna, how it works down practically is, they say on the portal there is a guideline given to you all that if you do not have a place of business in state, select the first applicable thing that turns out, select the first option from the drop down, proceed out with that application. Also, please note, it also differs from state to state. The state of, I believe, Uttarakhand has a special jurisdiction only for such e-commerce operators. So if that typical stateness is there, you'll have to take care of that and then proceed for your registration processes. That officer shall, after due verification, issue a certificate of registration in REG 6 within a period of 3 working days from date of submission of the application. That is fine. If you do not give out a proper reply, if the person is not satisfied, he will reject. This is more like your general provision only. Here, we were seeing what is a typical operator related compliances. But that typical operator related compliances are not the only thing that the operator suffers or the operator makes money from. It also charges you some other charges like marketing, logistics, penal charges as well. Now, what are these penal charges? For example, आपका goods है, okay, 10 orders came, 10 were delivered and 10 were returned back to you, say within that allowed time frame. So then the operator says that you are not a good quality supplier and therefore we are levying some penalties on you. Also certain commission. For this purpose, this operator is required to take up registration as a taxpayer, and all the provisions of the act, call it time of supply, call it place of supply, okay, call it tax invoicing, debit notes, credit notes, apply to it in a manner it would have applied to Nihal. In a manner it would have applied had this not being an operator. And all the related compliances have to be done accordingly. I'll give you an example. Maharashtra based operator tha. He had a Rajasthan or a Goa based supplier, supplier from Goa. So when he is trying to determine his marketing charge, his logistic charge, he would only check my place of supply. Say my registration is in Maharashtra. The person is a registered person from Goa, and therefore the place of supply and the location of supplier are different. Therefore, I am trying to load an IGST on it. Please note, for all the other charges, this act applies to the operator as it would have applied to Nihal. I hope this deliberation was useful to all of you. Now, these are various social media initiatives that I run. If anybody of you wishes to get in touch with me, you can please get in touch with me. And thank you so much. Thank you so much once again, Optotax, for this opportunity. I hope I was able to do justice to all of you, and the audience gained a bit of knowledge that I had and I wanted to pass on.
Yes, definitely, Nihalchand. I can see that messages are in affirmation to your question. That definitely it was a very insightful session. So even I agree with the same. And you kept my introduction, as I said, that you will be connecting things with example in easiest possible manner. So I guess it was well justified. And to sum up in simplest way, this was such a learnful session. So I was hopeful that today we'll be winding up this series with very optimistic and good note, and you kept my word. So thank you for that.
Always will.
So
We
obviously,
can take up the queries if there are.
Yes, if there are any of the queries, you can we can go through the chat box and we can take them up.
Sir, if the participants can just unmute and ask them, it would be better. If you permit them, obviously, otherwise somebody of your team, if they can help me read out with the queries, then it would be a lot better. And yeah, good evening, Vijay Kumar Subramaniam ji. And everybody else as well. I did greet in the start, no, or I forgot.
So what we can do is, if anyone is having queries, they can raise their hand. I'll allow them to speak.
Yeah, please do it that way.
CA Krishnachand Agarwal ji is raising his hand, so let me allow him to speak. So you are on mute. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. Krishnachand Agarwal ji. Anshul Jain ji is raising his hand, so let me allow him to speak. Anshul ji, if you can just unmute and ask your question. Meanwhile, Nihalchand, what we can do is there are some questions in the chat box. We can go on LIFO basis. You can read questions which are at the end, so it will be convenient for you. If anyone has to ask, they can. I have unmuted Anshul ji if he can ask. Meanwhile, we can take up the questions in chat box.
Sir, why he should be getting registration is, it is because somewhere down the line the act says you to get registered, and further if you are a supplier of goods, okay, then only this compulsion is there, because for supplier of services, I believe a notification back in 2017 was issued that you are required to make out a registration only if your turnover crosses 20 lakhs of rupees. This was a query.
Bhaskar ji has raised his hand right now, so let me. Yes, Bhaskar ji, I have allowed you to speak. If you can ask your question.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Sir, see, I have a e-commerce operation with my clients.
Okay.
We are having a herbal products we are exporting.
Exporting through e-commerce
we
operator.
have a MRP based product, and then we are charging through e-commerce operator. We charge at close to 30% discount on that. So the MRP will not be changed when the price is as it is will be there. The same product when I'm sending for a domestic purpose, the full MRP I'm charging. So now I want to know the valuation aspect. Is there any issue will be there?
Valuations with regards to what, sir? I mean,
see, when I am say the MRP will not be changed in the product. The product outside what I am printing in that product. The MRP, suppose example 100 rupees is there, the 100 rupees will not be changed. When I am billing that to Amazon, I am billing only for 50 rupees.
Okay.
So the product cost remains. If the customer sees, it will be 100, but the same product, if other than Amazon, if I am selling, I will be selling only for 100 rupees.
Okay, got it. So how have you entered into that agreement with Amazon? I mean, have you entered with a fixed price agreement with Amazon, or have you entered with say commission based transaction with Amazon?
Fixed price.
Okay, so it's fixed price. So then it is whatever you receive is your value of supply.
Okay, but my product cost of the display, what I am giving in the product, I am not changing it. It will remain 100 rupees only.
Okay,
why my customer is complaining that when I am buying there at Amazon it's 50 rupees, when I am buying with you it's 100 rupees. He is asking.
So what you are doing is you are basically selling it off to Amazon at 50.
Yeah.
And Amazon is then selling it ahead again at 50.
No.
So your transaction with Amazon gets over.
They are charging 100.
They are charging 100 rupees. So then Amazon becomes the seller over here.
Yes.
So then there are two different operations that are happening around, or the transactions that are happening around.
Yes.
One, you becoming the seller, and secondly, Amazon becoming the seller.
Yes.
So then what is the difference in valuation that will be causing to you?
Then there will be two billings I have to do.
You will have to do only one billing, making Amazon as the recipient.
Achha.
Because you have sold it off to Amazon for 50.
Okay.
And then that Amazon will invoice to the final customer. How can you invoice twice?
Suppose if I do bill to ship to?
Then if it's bill to ship to, then to obviously you have to do for 100 rupees only.
Yeah, because my price has to be displayed in the invoice itself.
Correct. That is the reason I asked you whether you are into fixed price with Amazon or you are on commission basis with Amazon. You said me it is fixed price.
Yes, yes.
So if it is fixed price, then again the price will remain 50 only, sir. Sorry, I said 100, but then it will remain 50 only. How will you charge 100 rupees?
Okay.
Okay, I guess Bhaskar ji.
We can also discuss it off after this session gets over as well.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously.
Because it
Okay,
is,
thank you so much, Bhaskar ji. And now Lokesh ji has raised his hand. Can I allow him to speak?
Yeah, no. We can take up queries till 6:30. I have ample amount of time.
So Lokesh ji, you can ask your question. Lokesh ji, you have to unmute you.
Hi, sir.
Hello.
Hi, sir. One of my client is selling the goods through e-commerce operators like Flipkart and Amazon. When we are entering the data, B2B transaction is when we are entering in GSTR 1, B2B is reflecting and B2C also reflecting. But in GSTR 3B, B2B liability is only coming.
Sir, that is the portal. Even it is happening for my clients as well. It is only B2B liability that I see. B2C is not getting auto-populated in the 3B portal. I mean, what do I suggest you over here?
This is a portal issue, sir.
That is a portal issue, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's why. Whether is there any act like that, whether B2C will be tabled by the Flipkart portal like queries?
No, sir, nothing. That is a portal issue. I mean, I cannot suggest anything for the portal, sir. Please. I hardly understand portal-driven law, sir. So
Portal and law are separate laws, I guess.
Yeah.
GST law are separate law. Okay. So the next is Vijay Kumar Subramanian ji. I am allowing you to speak. You can unmute yourself.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How are you?
Fine, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks. Sir, wonderful deliberation, sir. Excellent Optotax. I am a word of mouth to Optotax software to my friends and other office people, sir. So it's a very pleasure to have been in the platform of Optotax, sir. Sir, a foreign e-commerce operator, they do not have any place of business in India since they operate from outside. But their supplier and customers are located in India. Will the TCS provision to be applicable to such a e-commerce operator, sir, where they are operating from outside the country? Sir?
But then, sir, they would be having some place of business in India, or at least a registration would be there.
Oh, okay, sir. They don't have any registration, sir.
Sir, then you are supposed to get them registered.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay. Sir, is there cases in which the electronic operator does not provide invoicing to the seller? In such cases, invoice is generated by the seller and received by the buyer without ECO getting to know about it, sir. The payment flows through the e-commerce operator. In such cases, on what value is TCS to be collected, sir? Can TCS to be collected on the entire value or the transaction?
Sir, on the logical aspect, I'll tell you, because what I've understood the query is that the invoicing is done by the seller without having the logo of the operator.
Yes, sir.
And the money is collected by the operator and then it is passed on to the seller.
Oh, here yes, sir. Here the e-commerce operator does not know about this. So the seller is raising invoices.
Sir, in all the e-commerce transactions, it is the seller only that raises an invoice.
Okay, sir.
Only that logo of the operator is affixed.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So on that scale, it will always, the TCS would always be collected on the transaction value of supply, excluding GST.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Whether TCS to be collected on supplies on which the recipient is selected to pay tax on reverse charge basis, sir. Recipient,
why reverse charge is attracted? I mean, I don't see why the recipient
sometimes on e-commerce the recipient is paying the GST. There are certain cases, sir. Whether TCS to be collected on supplies on which the recipient is allocated to pay tax.
Sir, then you are talking about the, I believe that Ola Uber thing.
Yes,
so in that case, what happens is the supplier is the driver, the recipient is the aggregator or the operator, and that is the reason they say it is reverse charge.
Okay, sir. So.
Okay, thank you, Vijay Kumar.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to be interact with the eminent expert, Nihalchand. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? They can raise your hands. Nitin Nigam ji. Yes, Nitin ji, ask your question.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
During your deliberation, basically, you were telling that regarding annual filing return compliance, which is applicable to ECOs. Basically, they are required to file GST and NANB. So you were telling that there is no any form or format as such is available. So there is a sort of redundancy.
Correct.
So I wanted to know what kind of redundancy basically you are referring to. I didn't get.
Sir, redundancy, I am talking about that. See, we all have been given a chance to, give out a final figures to the department. Now that department getting that final figures from that e-commerce operator is not there. So what will happen is, if there is an error that has skipped in the month of September, that remains an error forever. That e-commerce operator can never rectify it. And the implications of that will happen on the seller or on the supplier that is supplying through it. So that matching has to be there somewhere. That matching is the redundancy which is not happening.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Anyone else, if they are having any of the questions, please raise your hands. Bhaskar ji is again raising his hand. So, okay, Bhaskar ji, allowing you to speak.
Which is not related to the today's topic. Just I want to know whether any extension for 99C filing.
Sir, dukti par haath mat rakhiye, please. I mean, I don't foresee it because it is already Saturday and it is Sunday and Monday. So then again, I don't foresee it, but then again, I would be happy to be proven wrong over here.
Maybe 28th also they may release.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. I would be more than happy to be proven wrong over here. But then, to my little mind, I do not see an extension.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Bhaskar ji. Narayan Agarwal ji, you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir, actually, suppose I have my own website and I sell goods only within my state, and the threshold is below the threshold specified in section 22, suppose for 30 lakh. So do I have to take compulsory registration? Like I have my own website and I do not collect TCS, or I do not allow others to sell through my website.
Then again, as I said at the start, you are just having an online office.
Correct.
So then there is no requirement for compulsory registration.
Okay. Thank you.
Obviously, subject to that limit, 20 lakh state law, 40 lakh state law, 10 lakh state law.
Yeah, I got it. Like if I cross the threshold of section 22, only then I am liable to registration. Correct. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, so no more hand raises, I guess. Yes, PPTs will be provided. Definitely. Nihalchand, if you can see any of the relevant question, then you can take them up. Otherwise, I don't see any more hand raises.
I don't see either.
Okay, then I guess that's it. No more questions which are to be taken, or can be said that all of the questions are taken. So thank you so much. All because of your love and support, we have been able to complete this series successfully. And we promise you to keep coming with such interesting topics for your learning and growth. To all the participants who missed today's webinar, can watch it on our Optotax YouTube channel. It has been recorded. And if you like it, please hit the like button. And I'm sure that you'll be liking it. And please subscribe us for regular and knowledgeable updates. Okay, please stay connected. Keep using Optotax. Be safe and healthy. And good night. Thank you so much, Nihalchand ji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.